Hi, this is Zed, and I'm with Nick Spencer, the man who broke the internet.
Did happen.
It did happen, right? So, Nick, you've worked on a lot of Marvel titles. You're working on quite a few Marvel titles right now. Ant-Man, Captain America, Sam Wilson, as well as Steve Rogers.
Right.
Yeah. What was it like to destroy the internet?
It was an exciting, crazy whirlwind of a couple weeks there. We expected a big response, but I don't know that we expected it quite that big for everybody in the world to seem to know about it. As a writer, you're not going to get that opportunity too many times in your career, so it was fun to get to experience it.
Now, just to put it in context, what Nick did was he made Captain America Hydra, right? And that's why the world just went wild. I looked out the window, I saw people running around, and they were waving comics in their air.
It felt that way for a minute, yeah.
So, something like that was done not so long ago, maybe not with Captain America, but with another comic icon, Spider-Man, when Peter Parker died.
Right.
What was the thought behind this change in, making Pep say, "Hail Hydra"?
Yeah, for me it was an interesting story about what happens if you take the most trusted, most looked up to, biggest authority figure in the Marvel Universe, and suddenly he doesn't have good intentions. There was a lot of great conflict to pull from that. You could see how badly that could go, and that's what stories need. Stories need conflict. They need adversity. They need big struggles for heroes to overcome, and so. I think that it's a story that highlights the importance of Captain America in a very different way than we've seen before.
And what was it like pitching that idea to Marvel?
Marvel were really supportive from the beginning. Like it's a really funny thing for how controversial it ended up being and for how big the impact was. There wasn't a lot of internal debate. Like, we all felt really good about the story. We all felt really good about where it was going. But we kind of had the luxury of being able to see the whole picture. So we knew that it would be a big moment. But like I said, I wonder if there would have been more talk if they would have known just how big it was going to get.
Yeah. So, we've seen countless memes on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. I went Hail Hydra to everyone.
Right.
Do you think it brought in new readers, though?
Yeah, I think that it did. It's really a funny thing when you have stories like this where obviously you do see a lot of, on the internet, a lot of immediate negative feedback and everything, but the book immediately sold out. Immediately we had to go back to do a big second print. The book is continuing to sell at much higher levels than was projected because it's a story that got people talking, and people obviously do want to see what's going on. They're hearing all these things about a story, so they want to go check it out themselves.
And other than your Marvel work, you're also doing some work with Image, with your own creations.
Yeah.
Your own stuff.
I do a book called Glories, which just celebrated its 50th issue. So we hit a big landmark, and next year we'll be back with Glories Summer Vacation. That's a book about a group of 6 kids who find themselves trapped in a boarding school run by very sinister forces. It's a big sci-fi mystery, very long form, very intricate. Got an amazing fan base for that. And then I'm doing another Image book called The Fix, which is a crime caper with Steve Lieber, who I did a book at Marvel called Superior Foes to Spider-Man with. It's a crime comedy. We're having a lot of fun on that one too. So yeah, I continue to do a lot of creator-owned work and having a great time at Image.
Yeah. So you see, you've got your work in Marvel where you're running a couple of different characters. You've got your own creator work, your own IPs. What's the process like? How do you, switch from one story or one series to another and keep them within their own worlds and not bleed into one another?
Well, you don't worry too much about them bleeding, but it is a trick to just sort of rearrange your head to think about a different project. So I try to stay focused on the same project for as long as I can. just so you can spend a week or two in that book. Some books are easier to write than others, and juggling those things is just a key part of the job. I enjoy it because you get to write different things, and you never really get tired of one. If you only focused on one thing, you might get a little bored with it. But so I like the variety, but it's a challenge sometimes to keep so many things spinning at once.
So apart from your own work, characters that you've worked on before, like Marvel, DC characters, which has been your favorite, the one that you've most enjoyed writing about?
I really like writing Captain America. That's a big one. I'm really proud of the work that we did on Ant-Man, because Scott Lang had never really had like a long Marvel Comics run. Yeah. So getting to do that, I think, was a big deal. The Marvel work I'm probably most proud of is either Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which I did with Lieber, or we did a Cloak and Dagger with Emma who's also here. I'm really proud of those two. I think that those two are probably my favorites.
And like you said, Ant-Man or Scott Lang didn't have a very long run in the comics before. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that's influenced by how well that Ant-Man did in the movies.
Yeah, I think so. And that's one of the nice things about the movies is, that book happened because there was a movie that was going to be coming out later that year, so they wanted to do a comic. And, Scott Lang was a character that had been around for a long time and had just never kind of gotten his moment in terms of a solo book. And he was such a great character, such a great premise, and it has this whole thing as a super single dad that was just, a really fun hook, and I just couldn't believe that nobody had gotten to really do much with it, so to get to define that character a little bit more and to expose that character to a new audience was great. And then the movie came out after our first arc was done, and right before we relaunched with the second one, and that was great because we the character obviously had a lot more visibility, and so yeah, I'm pretty proud of the work that we're doing. We're just about to wrap on it, so I can look at the whole thing finished, and I think we did a good job.
Right. And what do you think? Is it more a case of the movies now influencing the way characters are written in the comic books and the way they look in the comic books versus the comics themselves influencing the movies? The reason why I ask this is I was a big Wolverine fan for a long, long time.
Yeah, sure.
And I remember Wolverine when he was squat and he was the runt of the group. And then Hugh Jackman came.
He got tall.
Yeah, and then Hugh Jackman came along.
Well, as a guy of shorter stature myself, I'm with you on the Wolverine thing. He needs to remain a short guy. But it's funny. I think at the end of the day, there's no question that the comics influence the movies more than the other way around. Like the movies are entirely based on comic stories. Like and that's what we don't maybe appreciate as much. What we tend to notice is like, oh, they changed his costume so it looks a little more like the movie. When it's like, really, if you think about it in the big picture, that's not a big deal.
Right.
But look, people are protective of the characters. They're protective of the stuff that they've been reading. So they want, they don't want to see it messed up by some outside force,
right,
like a movie. And I completely understand that. Myself, I like bringing in things from the movies if I think that it adds something positive. Right. Like that if I feel like it adds, like we just brought Everett Roth's back into the Captain America book because he just, Martin Freeman just played him in the Captain America Civil War movie, and I was like, oh, that was fun, like he's a fun character, that was a nice addition, and I was like, he hasn't been seen in the comics in a while, like he was a Black Panther character, and just haven't seen him in a while, and I was like, it'd be fun to bring him in as he's in the comic. He's kind of pressing the case against Maria Hill in S.H.I.E.L.D. And so, that's an example of the movie having an influence, but I tend to view it as like a positive influence, that it's just a thing of now more people know who that character is, they're going to kind of hear that voice when they see the character, and that will add something to the book. It doesn't take anything away from the comics.
Right. Nick, it's been a great chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Definitely. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, and now if you're in Singapore over this weekend, pop by STGCC, Singapore Toys Comic Games Convention, right? Pop by STGCC. It's a mouthful for me, and that's where you can see Nick and a whole lot of other guests and stars.